Well, we've got some fairly disturbing breaking news. In an unhinged Truth Social rant, Donald Trump has ordered his entire federal government to initiate a massive crackdown on major blue cities, which he describes as, quote, Democratic power centers. It seems to be phrased as an all out war on the Democratic Party, which he viciously attacks in this unhinged screed. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. Yeah, this is a contender for one of Donald Trump's most unhinged Truth Social rants ever, top 5 at least. As Mediaite reports, quote, by notice of this truth, Trump decrees ICE mass deportation focus on deadly inner cities and Dem power center. Yikes. In a lengthy social media post that alternated between angry rant, blustery praise, and rambling official announcement, Trump on Sunday gave, quote, notice that ICE, Border Patrol, and other law enforcement should now, quote, focus on inner city areas and so-called, quote, sanctuary cities he says are at the core of the, quote, Democratic Power Center as part of his continuing plan for, quote, the single largest mass deportation program in history. Okay, so let's take a look. Jesus. Okay. Our nation's ICE officers have shown incredible strength, determination, and courage. I'm going to expand this as they facilitate a very important mission, the largest mass deportation operation of illegal aliens in history. Every day, the brave men and women of ICE are subjected to violence, harassment, and even threats from radical Democrat politicians, but nothing will stop us from executing our mission and fulfilling our mandate to the American people. ICE officers are herewith ordered, and by notice of this truth, to do all in their power to achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history. In order to achieve this, we must expand efforts to detain and deport illegal aliens in America's largest cities, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York, where millions upon millions of illegal residents reside. These and other such cities are the core of the Democratic Power Center, where they use illegal aliens to expand their voter base. Again, an unsubstantiated claim, totally stupid. Cheat in elections, another unsubstantiated claim, totally stupid. And grow the welfare state, robbing good-paying jobs and benefits from hardworking American citizens. These radical left Democrats are sick of mind, hate our country, and actually want to destroy our inner cities, and they're doing a good job of it. There's something wrong with them. That's why they believe in open borders, transgender for everybody, and men and women's sports. And that's why I want ICE, Border Patrol, and our great and patriotic law enforcement officers to focus on our crime-ridden and deadly inner cities and those places where sanctuary cities play such a big role. You don't hear about sanctuary cities in our heartland. I want our brave ICE officers to know that real Americans are cheering you on every day. The American people want our cities, schools, and communities to be safe and free from illegal alien crime, conflict, and chaos. Now, a couple of things to note here. Note again the divisive language. If you're a Trump supporter, you're a real American. If you're a liberal, leftist, progressive, if you live in a blue city, blue state, you're not a real American. You're subhuman in Trump's eyes, which is, again, just goes to show his total lack of empathy and self-awareness, because this comes on the heels of a Trump voter and Trump supporter shooting 2 Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota, killing one and her spouse and grievously wounding another lawmaker and his spouse, and he just doesn't give a damn about any of this, about tempering his rhetoric, but I digress. He'll also I should note that when he talks about illegal alien crime, conflict, and chaos, that undocumented immigrants are exponentially less likely to commit crimes than native-born American citizens, precisely because they want to avoid the scrutiny of law enforcement officers. That's not to say that undocumented immigrants commit no crime. They do. It's not to say that no undocumented immigrant has ever committed a heinous crime. They have, but they are less likely to do so, substantially less likely to do so than American citizens. And yet he's trying to demonize them in this way. Disgusting. But we'll continue. That's why I have directed my entire administration to put every resource possible behind this effort and reverse the tide of mass destruction migration that's turned once idyllic towns into scenes of third world dystopia. Our federal government will continue to be focused on remigration of aliens to places from where they came and preventing the admission of anyone who undermines the domestic tranquility of the United States. To ICE, FBI, DEA, ATF, and patriots at the Pentagon and State Department, you have my unwavering support. Now go, get the job done, DJT. So pretty unhinged stuff coming from Donald Trump, as Aaron Rupar notes again that Trump just basically declared war on blue cities. Consider this. Remember the context. So Trump defied decades of precedent by deploying the California National Guard over the objection of California Governor Gavin Newsom, and then escalated further still by deploying 700 and then I think another 500 active duty Marines, so over 1,000 at this point, to California, again against the wishes of the governor. So major escalations on both fronts. And he seems to me that he's greenlighting, concurrent operations of similar nature in and not just Los Angeles, but Chicago, New York, and other blue cities as well. So that's not good, right? That hints at a major escalation, which could not only prove to be violent, but also cost people their lives, including Marines and National Guardsmen and American citizens. It just sounds like a total shit show, and we should probably avoid that. But as Midas Touch notes, the sort of dehumanizing language about political opponents is exactly what leads to the horrific shootings we saw yesterday, disgraceful and dangerous. Friend of the show, Mehdi Hassan, has a couple of them back to back. He says he just says it out loud again and again. The one good thing about Trump, the authoritarian plan is out in the open. It's not about migrants or borders. It's about going after a, quote, Democrat power center. Hence, no need for ICE raids in the undocumented filled heartland. And that's what's funny is if Donald Trump really cared about deporting undocumented immigrants, he wouldn't just target blue cities because there are a lot of millions of undocumented immigrants in red states as well and in rural America. So he's full of shit. It's not about an even-handed mass deportation program. It's just a pretense to attack his political opponents because he's worried about being out of power and his party, whom he has a cultish grip over, being out of power. Good point by Mehdi. Eddie also points out, I'm trying to imagine a Democratic president saying openly and proudly that he would be sending federal agents to target the Republican power center in Texas, Florida, and Tennessee. We would be in the midst of a civil war before he'd finish saying those words. And I think Mehdi, unfortunately, is right. But again, this is what happens when you grade one political party on a curve and everybody gets in on that action for decades. We've all contributed to it by expecting less of Trump and less of Republican politicians than we do their Democratic counterparts. And again, I just got to say this because it's true. That is hypocritical, it's dishonest, it's irrational, and stupid. There should be one standard for both political parties, one standard for senators of both political parties, one standard for representatives of both political parties, and one standard for presidents of both political parties. And if you have to grade your party on a curve, it means that you know that if you hold them to the same standard as the opposition, your side loses. So it's, again, a tacit concession. But they don't care because they don't have to be intellectually honest. Right now they have power, and that's really all they care about. Chuck Todd, journalist, former MSNBC, former host of Meet the Press on NBC, says, Trump is openly admitting that he's politicizing law enforcement. This will not help ICE's image because he's asking them to perform a political task. Throw in the decision to shield the red states from law enforcement, and he's clearly hoping to provoke an angry response. At a moment when we need a president to de-escalate, he does the opposite. Agreed. Yeah, so in other words, Donald Trump seems to be declaring all-out war on blue cities, if not blue states. Certainly the cities that he's targeting are in blue states. This is not good and potentially extraordinarily dangerous, both on constitutional grounds and also just, quite frankly, on physical grounds as well, because it could provoke a violent response. It could cause military officials who are highly trained for soldiers and the U.S. Armed Forces. It's the most powerful fighting force in the history of civilization, and they are trained to conduct foreign operations against foreign opponents, not domestic law enforcement. They just suck at it in comparison because it's not what they're trained to do. It'd likewise be sending like the LAPD or NYPD, to invade Afghanistan, right? Like they would suck at that too because that's not their job, right? That's why you keep your green beans and your mashed potatoes separate, to say nothing of the fact that you don't want to concentrate even more power in the military, which is why the United States is predicated on civilian military leadership. All of this Trump is undermining, and he's creating a powder keg. And this, again, comes on the heels of a MAGA Trump supporter, shooting and killing a Democratic lawmaker in Minnesota and her spouse and grievously wounding another. Trump is instead, putting his foot down on the accelerator, and this is not good, and it's incredibly, very, very dangerous. We'll see what happens in terms of operational details about how they go to carry this out, but It's not good, folks. It's really not. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.